Hey folks, this is Jim Hansen, and I am your East Coast warlord.
And I'm Kurt Schlichter, your West Coast warlord, and we'd like to talk about a bunch of losers today. I mean, they're fat, they're stupid, they're narcissistic, they're delusional. You know who we're talking about.
The however many dwarves it is this time in the Republican primary.
The Republican fringies, all on this episode of The Warlords. But we got a lot of other great stuff coming too. But we've got to start out with a giant lard ass like Chris Christie. What the hell, Jim? What the hell?
I can only assume that, some of the Republican establishment and the Trump-hating people brought him in because he's willing to roll up on Trump, literally, and talk smack. And he's already started. And the thing about him is, he's pretty good at it. Christie's only good at one thing, and that's talking smack. He's a Jersey guy.
Well, there's eating. I mean... He's
eating, yeah. There's destroying the buffet at the Golden Corral and doing backstroke laps in the chocolate fountain.
Look, if I needed anybody's carbohydrate input, I'd seek out Chris Carbo Christie. And we can say that about all these guys, whether it's Pence or whoever the guy from South Dakota is. What's his name? Burgum?
North Dakota.
I
watched his commercial. It was about 6 hours long. Because he had to drive to get from one North Dakota voter to the next one, it was like a 3-hour drive. So he talked to two people, and it was a 6-hour video. And he seems like a decent guy, and if I lived in North Dakota, I would probably like him. But he's not going to do anything other than waste time.
Look, I don't think it's too much to ask that you know who the person is who's running for president. Okay, I'm barely aware of Asa Hutchinson, for instance, only to the extent, and the only reason I know him is because he's such an invertebrate loser who sucks up to the Walmart board and does things like, well, I think it's wrong for Republicans to get involved in culture wars. Our job's to give giant corporations tax cuts.
And plus, he's got a fun name to make fun of. The thing is, though, literally, the North Dakota guy, I did not know his name.
Me neither.
The governor of North Dakota is announcing him. I had no idea who he was. And we're political junkies. If we don't know who you are, you should not be running for president.
I mean, and what's he going to say? Make America North Dakota? And if you're Gavin Newsom saying, make America California, you can go, no, I don't want a hobo squatting on my yard. Or if you say, if you're DeSantis, make America Florida, that's great.
Right.
Florida is a very free and prosperous state. If you say, make America North Dakota, everybody scratches their head.
Yeah, you freeze to death.
What,
you get Fargo. Everybody's like, is that Fargo?
I think there's a Fargo. I think that's the Fargo. Are there multiple Fargos? I don't know. I don't care because it's the governor of North Dakota, and I don't give a damn, Warlord Jim.
No. And like I said, he seemed like a nice guy. His commercial was 3.5 minutes long, and it was beautiful. There's some beautiful country. They did it not during the depths of winter when it's negative 160.
For like the 4 days in July when it's not, an igloo.
Yeah, when everything blooms and it's all beautiful. But, and he was riding horses. He was doing stuff. But that's not going to win. And the thing is, all these people who are doing it are simply taking away time that could be spent on candidates with a chance. And it beats working, I guess, is the other reason they're doing it, right?
Well, it's this weird narcissism. I mean, Mike Pence, who presumably consulted Jesus on this. I just don't think he listened. He was like, Lord, should I run for president? And it was like, no, my son, what the hell are you thinking? He's like, no, I'm going to go with it.
Mother says I should.
I don't hate Mike Pence. I just don't think he belongs in any position where he exercises sole executive power.
Yeah.
He's a good vice president because he's not going to get in any trouble. I mean, he managed to get in trouble on January 6th. I don't think that was his fault. I think he was terribly treated by Trump. Right. I don't think, and the thing is, he took, doing what he needed to do. And now that's his I did my higher duty of the Constitution. Don't ruin it by blowing your own horn, dude. You're not Louis Armstrong.
Yeah, and I mean, Mike Pence is essentially unhateable. If you're hating on Mike Pence, you're working too hard. There's just no reason to hate Mike Pence. There's also no reason to like him enough to vote for him for president.
Well, there's no reason to think of him. I mean, Mike Pence, Right. He's not mean enough to do what needs to be done. But he's still going to get called a Nazi. Isn't he the one they had the Handmaid Tale thing about? They was going to make all the women wear Handmaid Tale. Yeah, like he's going to take that kind of stand.
Right. That would be too hard.
Yeah, I've said it before and I said it again. If you're going to get a preacher, all right, you want John Lithgow in Footloose. You don't want this spineless sissy. Okay, because Lithgow in Footloose, man, you didn't have to agree with him, but you knew he was down for the fight.
Right. Who else we got? There's got to be somebody else, isn't there?
Well, let's see.
Are they so meaningless that I've lost them?
There are other ones. Larry Elder, who
he was another nice guy.
What? Yeah, I like Larry. I mean, he's a nice guy. But him running for president is stupid. Tim Scott, him running for president. Oh, he goes on The View, and he's like nice and reasonable.
You know, now I got to give him credit. All right, two things for Tim Scott. Number one, he's running for vice president. Yeah. Number two, he did a great job of kicking them right in the mouth, perfectly politely and properly on The View. Yeah. And I'll give him credit for that. I mean, that was good for our team.
I mean, look, I don't think he's a bad guy. No. I just don't think he's angry.
Right. He doesn't know what time it is.
He doesn't know what time it is. The thing is, there's this group of Republicans, the Mike Pences, the Hims, the Chris Sununu. And Chris Sununu, like Doug Mastriano, did a service for his country. Right. He was going to lose, and he didn't run. And we should, you did the right thing. Good for you, Mastriano. Good for you, Sununu. But, this is a time where we're under serious threats to our way of life, our freedom, our liberty, our prosperity, our security. If you're not angry, you're not paying attention, and we don't have time to tread water in a sea of sissiness.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you are not leading from the front in the counterattack to retake control of our republic from the woke left, get out. Get out.
Well, see, what they offer the promise of, and it's appealing to a lot of sexually inadequate people, is a world without a fight. You're going to get all the stuff that you want back, but you're not going to have to dirty your little hands. You're not going to have to punch anybody in the mouth. You're not going to have to do anything that's going to make the other side upset and ruffle the feathers. And that's demonstrably false. That's simply not so.
No. You won't. All you'll do is lose more slowly, and do so in a way that is acceptable to more of your neighbors than would be actually fighting. And that's the worst of all things you could possibly do. Is I'm going to not do what is demonstrably necessary and go ahead and just lose. It's the Jonah Goldberg old school Con Inc. way of losing slowly, and looking
managing decline. Managing decline.
Yeah.
Look, that's what they look. You remember when Ronald Reagan came in? Ronald Reagan said, "I'm not going to contain the Russians. I'm going to turn them back." And D.C. almost had freaking apoplexy. They just said, "What?
Right?
You're going to actually fight back?" Yeah.
Yeah. And look what happened. Look what happened.
He won.
Everyone said he won. He didn't just win. He led a revolution. The Reagan Revolution is the greatest thing to happen in American politics in your and my lifetime.
Yes.
And maybe ever, short of the actual revolution and the Civil War. Other than that, and maybe World War II. There's a couple other places. But in our lifetime, Reagan took us from the decline and malaise and patheticness of Jimmy Carter to America being the preeminent and most important and most vital and envy of the world.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Now here's the thing. All right, Trump of presidents in our lifetime again, actually, I will give credit for saving the republic.
Yes.
Because if he had not stepped up, fought, taken the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, and all the abuse he did, Hillary Clinton would have appointed 3 Supreme Court justices, and I'm pretty sure we would be literal warlords right now, not figurative ones. Although
I think we'd be in a real mess. Look, here's the thing that our weak guys don't understand. Our enemies have a glass jaw. Now Reagan knew that, and he threw a punch, and he shattered him. And Trump. Trump knocked him back. The problem is he didn't keep throwing the punches.
He had a bad habit of punching people sitting around the table with him.
Yeah, I mean, it was like if he was Muhammad Ali, jumped out of the ring to go and get in a fight with Ben Affleck. around the ring. The guys that are fighting us win because no one fights them.
Right.
Literally, they've never had to defend their beliefs. They've never had to do anything. It was all handed to them. Mm-hmm. And once they meet somebody scrappy, they've got problems. It's hard for them to fight.
Maybe Bud Light is going to be the moment that changed things back, because that's a moment when the left first knew fear for the first time in a long damn time. Like you said, they've gotten away with it. They are the default wokeness, and its dogma is the default standard for everything in this country until Bud Light.
Well, that's true. And of course, you got guys like Mike Pence and Nikki Haley going, well, we have to back off.
Because they went and criticized him, now he's going to spend taxpayer dollars on a lawsuit. It's just like all this vendetta stuff. We've been down that road again. We can't go down that.
Finally, something succeeds. Now they get fired up, Jim. They're right. Fired up to stop us from winning. They actually despise the idea of us succeeding. And people are going, that's crazy talk. Okay, what fact do you have to the contrary?
Right.
What is your evidence that they want to succeed other than they kind of mealy-mouthed talk about it?
Yeah. Nothing.
No, there is none.
No, and the thing is, it's the very idea of fighting. Like you said, they're willing to say these are the things that we should have, but standing up, fighting, and punching the other side is beyond their belief. They're like, no, that's a bridge too far. We can't do that. We need to talk. We need bipartisanship. We need to talk to the center. No. The center is squishy and going to do nothing but wait for one of the two sides on either end to go ahead and win, and then they'll cave to whoever that is. We just need to make sure it's us.
Well, that's how things work. Even in the Revolutionary War, only a few % of people were active. Everybody else was sheep. Dude, it's about the shepherds.
That's about the sheepdogs and the wolves.
Yeah.
Trump's got an ad now. He had a good ad that came out. He left DeSantis alone. And he went ahead and it's the wolves and, all of that. And I think it's been used. It's used every cycle. But it's a great one because sheepdogs, sheep, and wolves is American society.
It really is.
And that's how it works. And you just got to make sure that your side has sheepdogs who are willing to bite the jugular of the wolves attacking you.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about how the sheepdogs are going to keep the wolves at bay. And here's a hint. Mandatory assault rifles coming up on the Warlords.